might expect. It's because he didn't have to get on an airplane. It's a home game. He's going to sleep in his own bed. He said today that it changed the dynamic of the entire season, being able to be at home for a weekend. So I think they're certainly very proud to be alums here and happy to have the show here. You know, David's a practical man, so he's going with the pragmatic approach of not having to go to the airport. So that was a win for him, I think.
And then is there something unique about having GameDay here? I mean, as you've been here for a couple days and you've been able to work around, is there something unique about it?
Well, it's a beautiful campus, and I think that it's, as you're seeing in some of the things that we're doing with the CFB 150 project on the variety of platforms, and not to diminish how important the sport in other regions of the country, how important it is in other regions of the country. It's a different feel in the South and in the SEC, and I think that people who haven't experienced a huge game weekend on a campus like Georgia with such rabid, hungry fans and great program there, I don't know that you've really experienced the ultimate in college football until you've been able to be on campus for this type of game.
Rece, what do you think fans want to see from Georgia that they haven't seen this season? If there's questions about this team's legitimacy as a national championship contender?
I'm not really sure that there are any questions about that. I think it's just don't stumble. And everybody knows, no pun intended here, everybody knows what the elephant in the room is. It's getting past Alabama, on the biggest stage. Will that matchup even happen? Who knows? I mean, both of them have a long way to go. But I don't think that there's anything that people are saying, well, I'm not sure about Georgia. I mean, I guess you could, if you want to quibble, you could say the receivers aren't quite as proven against elite competition, but those young ones look awfully good to me, and receivers tend to be able to play early. I think by later in the season, the defensive guys that have replaced some of the more familiar names will be household names. They're deep, they're talented, they can just continually run guys at you in waves. I don't think that there are a lot of questions about Georgia's legitimacy and contending. It's just simply getting over the final hump that separates, being excellent from being a champion. And that's all it is.
Much has been made about their offensive line. A couple former players called them the Great Wall. Have they differentiated or separated themselves to the point where we could be talking about them as being one of the better offensive line groups that maybe you've even seen in recent college football?
I think that when you look at that matchup, because Notre Dame has one guy, Notre, who is a potential first-round draft pick. He has not been terribly productive up to this point. I think that is a key matchup in the game Saturday night. From an historical context, I think you have to wait and see how do they perform on the biggest stage, what kind of numbers do they put up. But certainly there's a wealth of talent up there, guys who are big and athletic, and they're getting healthier too, it seems like. So historical context probably take a little bit longer to see how they play this season, but certainly the talent is there to contend for the Joe Moore Award that goes to the best offensive line and all those types of things.
Rece, with Notre Dame's perception recently being a good team that just can't win big games, do you think, this being a home game for Georgia, do you think there's more to lose than gain?
For Georgia?
Yeah, for Georgia.
It'll be tough if they lose. If that is one of the things we're going to talk about on College Game Day is, what if Notre Dame wins? If Notre Dame wins, I think it alters the perception not only of Notre Dame, but I think it also impacts this whole notion of how many teams of the SEC get in the playoff. The answer to that question probably becomes one. You never know. You make mistakes drawing absolute conclusions in September because things can change over the course of the season. But I think there is some merit to that there is more in terms of reputation to be lost for Georgia. But at the same time, Notre Dame will have a hard time coming back from this loss. Things will have to fall just right for them to get back in the playoff picture.